gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you. My name's Fatim Gurji, and it's my great pleasure this evening to welcome you to the 5th Annual Muslim News Awards for Excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to welcome this year's Guest of Honour, MP for Dunfermline East since 1983 and Chancellor of the Exchequer since 1997. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and give a very warm welcome to the Right Honourable Gordon Brown MP. As is the Muslim tradition, ladies and gentlemen, we begin tonight's proceedings with a recitation from the Holy Quran. Flown in especially for this evening from Indonesia, I'm very pleased to introduce Kurniawati and Yulia Stuti, champions of the Indonesian National Quran Recitation Competition. Translating from the Arabic, we have local London girl Zainab Versi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا وبرا بوالدتي ولم يجعلني جبارا شقيا والسلام علي يوم ولدت ويوم أموت ويوم أبعث حيا ذلك عيسى بن مريم قول الحق الذي فيه يمترون ما كان لله أن يتخذ من ولد سبحانه إذا قضى أمرا فإنما يقول له كن فيكون.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال إني أتى الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة وبرا بوالدتي ولم يجعلني جبارا شقيا والسلام علي يوم ولدت ويوم أموت ويوم أبعث حيا ذلك عيسى بن مريم قول الحق الذي فيه يمترون ما كان لله أن يتخذ من ولد سبحانه إذا قضى أمرا فإنما يقول له كن فيكون صدق الله العظيم.
This weekend, Christians will be commemorating the resurrection of Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him. The verses that we have just heard are from the chapter called Maryam, Mother of Jesus, describing some of his attributes. In the name of God, the most kind, the most merciful. He, Jesus, said, "Verily, I am a slave of God. He has given me the scripture and made me a prophet. And he has made me blessed wheresoever I be. And he enjoined on me prayer and charity as long as I live. And he made me dutiful to my mother, and made me not arrogant, unblessed. And peace be upon me, the day I was born, and the day I die, and the day I shall be raised alive." Such is Jesus, Son of Mary. It is a statement of truth about which they doubt. It befits not God that he should beget a son. When he decrees a thing, he only says to it, "Be," and it is.
It was Sir Thomas Beecham who said, "Great music is that which penetrates the ear with facility and leaves the memory with difficulty. Magical music never leaves the memory." This evening, ladies and gentlemen, we have for you a magical music performance. An exotic fusion of Javanese gamelan and contemporary music, KIAI KANJENG advocates democracy through music, and all within the Islamic framework. Led by Mohammed Ainun Najib, affectionately known as Chak Noon, which means brother, KIAI KANJENG tours internationally, discussing social, political and economic issues through their music, using the shalawat, the blessings of the Holy Prophet, and the wirid, the recitation of the Holy Quran, to spread the message. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome KIAI KANJENG.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. If a stone is laying on the street and it is a danger to passerby, you pick it up and find someone to discuss. What can be done to make that stone useful? That is Islam. Islam is to keep the fertility of every corner of the land, to admire the mountain and the sea, or just watering plants, to swim on the water with gratitude to Allah, or to breathe the air with longing to Allah. Islam is when someone's starving, even if it is only a dog, you feel uneasy for being full yourself. So then you learn to be hungry yourself. Before you can feel deserved to be called brother by those who are hungry. Islam is when someone thirsty, even the one who is going to kill you, you feel his thirst and share your water with him. Islam is when you see someone marginalized and lonely, you come by and greet him. Islam is to love even those who hate you and to praise with wisdom the one who takes you to be his enemy. Islam is community at peace with nature, river and forest, water and land, mountain and sea, which they love like their own wives, nurturing its fertility with nothing but love. Islam is a government who take their people as a wife, to care for each other, to cooperate with a balanced power to each other. Islam is the strong party understand the importance of the weak party, and the weak party doesn't enjoy its weakness and dependence. Salam. Salam means peace. Islam means to find, to build, and to create peace. Islamic humanity means an understanding to humanize one another. Islamic culture is peace of mind and heart. Islamic economic means no one is malnourished and no one is overnourished. Islamic politics means a true and honest democracy. Islamic philosophy is a balance on human right and human obligation. Salam means peace. Islam means liberation toward peace. Islam means an emancipation work towards a peaceful coexistence of all mankind.
Allah
الشيطان الرجيم سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم
Uhai
ayati inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifah. Qalu ataj'alu fiha may yufsidu fiha wa yasfiku dima. Wa nahnu nusabbihu bihamdika wa nuqaddisu lak. Qala inni a'lamu ma la ta'lamun.
هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون.
بيد تسع في أرزاقها ويد تدفع كيد الأشقياء. بيد تسع في أرزاقها ويد تدفع كيد الأشقياء. سادت الأيام وما ملت أن بالإيمان يسر الأقوياء. فإذا استشهد منكم بدر كان باليوم أكبر لا إله إلا الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Ladies and gentlemen, please now welcome to the stage the man whose hard work makes this evening a possibility. You all know him very well. He needs no further introduction. Ahmed Versi, editor of the Muslim News.
Chancellor of the Exchequer, Right Honourable Gordon Brown, Ministers and Shadow Ministers, my lords, ladies, ambassadors, guests, colleagues and friends, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. Thank you all for attending this, the Muslim News Awards for Excellence event. I would like to extend an especially big welcome to those who have been nominated for tonight's awards. And to those of our loyal readers who took the time and trouble to nominate men, women and children of excellence. The Muslim News Awards for Excellence is back again for a 5th time. We are proud to be able to celebrate the achievements of the Muslim community, acknowledge excellence and highlight future role models. Organizing this event is always a challenging event, and one of those challenges is not knowing how many nominations are likely to come in. More and more people are being nominated, but 5 years into these awards, we continue to find that people are still reluctant both to nominate and be nominated. There remains a strong belief, not just amongst Muslims, that good work, charity and volunteering is principally about helping someone in need, and not a means of getting publicity. This means that the only other party which needs to know about an act of charity or kindness is God. And the last person who deserves to find out is someone who works in the media, someone like me. This was evident during the Indian Ocean tsunami tragedy. Britain and the world stepped forward to help, Muslim and non-Muslim, rich and poor, man and women, young and old, in an outstanding show of humanity. But very few actually wanted any credit or recognition for what they had done. It was as if we simply felt that we needed to give something back to those much less fortunate than ourselves, but who we share this small planet with. Having said that, these awards are designed to help some of our achievers overcome their natural reticence and come forward, for no other reason than to shine a light on others so that they may follow in your footsteps. If we all prefer to keep our own company, where will the next Islamic Relief come from? The next Muslim Council of Britain, or the next Muslim Aid, or the next Citizen Organizing Foundation? And ladies and gentlemen, it is why today on tonight's shortlist are not enough. You are all winners, but we need many, many more of you. Every year, a part of me hesitates when writing this speech, because I know for a fact that this will involve recalling some of the year's Muslim events, most of which spell the word bad news. This year, as in all previous ones, is not much different. The international climate for Muslims remains as bleak as ever. Iraq is still suffering under occupation. So are the Kashmiris, the Chechens, and not forgetting the Palestinians. Peace without justice is no peace at all. It must be made clear to the Israelis that they have to vacate all the lands occupied in 1967, including East Jerusalem, allow the refugees the right of return to their homelands, and dismantle all settlements in the occupied territories, including the West Bank, as they are illegal under Geneva Convention. We used military force against Saddam Hussein's Iraq when it illegally invaded Kuwait. Yet we are reluctant to do the same with Israel. I wonder why. And here at home, this has been another year of depressing statistics on poverty, unemployment, and education underachievement. If that were not enough, Muslims continue to feel besieged. We are besieged by an ever-increasing circle of anti-terror measures that seem to regard Muslims as a kind of template terrorist. Measures which are severely testing human rights, civil liberties, and the principle that I am innocent until proven guilty. Any one of us, especially if you are Muslim, can be arrested under the terror laws and be incarcerated indefinitely without even knowing what the charges are. We are besieged by contradictory election immigration rhetoric that says that the country is full, that borders need to be secured, and that Britishness is under threat. Unless, of course, the person queuing up at passport control happens to be wealthy, well qualified, and dare I say this, white. Let me make a plea here and now to all party representatives present. Please, please, do not fight this election on immigration and security issues. I promise I wouldn't be too negative, and I won't. We have now two Muslim members of parliament, though there should be at least 20. We have 5 Muslims in the House of Lords, 1 in the London Assembly and 1 in the European Parliament, but none in the Scottish Parliament and none in the Welsh Assembly. In the forthcoming elections, we may at least have 2 or 3 more Muslim members of Parliament, which may include 1 or 2 from the Conservatives. If this happens, this will be a significant achievement. Since 1997, 4 Muslim schools have been allocated government funding. Outlawing of religious discrimination in goods and services is passing through the Parliament. Also is incitement to religious hatred. But let me say this, that tonight's guest of honor is someone who understands the problems we face. In Gordon Brown, this country has a chancellor who is engaged in a different kind of war on terror, the terror of poverty and inequality, at home and abroad. Gordon Brown, perhaps more than any British politician today, understands the pathology of poverty. He knows that if your father was poor and unskilled, it is likely that your grandfather was before him, and that this legacy has a direct bearing on your own life chances and those of your own children. And it is this cycle that he wants to break. He has promised a better future for our children and hope for the poorest overseas through his international finance facility, which promises to raise $50 billion annually to help improve the lives of the poorest in other countries. I would urge the wealthier Muslim countries to engage with the Chancellor on this fund, which is the most exciting idea in development funding to emerge for several generations. He has also shown willingness to seriously address how Sharia-compliant financial instruments can be devised to work within UK regulations. Thanks to him, Muslims who borrow money for house purchase using Islamic finance will no longer have to pay stamp duty twice. For this, you have our unstinting support. You also have our commitment and our promise that we want to work with you in any way we can to help you to realize these goals. The Muslim News Awards are but a small contribution to giving a marginalized community a window to a different world. There are people in our midst tonight who have overcome hardship to excel in their chosen fields. You are a beacon to us all. My congratulations to all of those who will win tonight. You have an important role to play. My sincere commiserations to the many excellent nominations who couldn't make it. You are no less excellent and have an equally important function. Before I call upon the Chancellor onto the stage, I would like to thank Muhammad Najib, who we just heard, and his KANJENG Gamelan Orchestra for flying in specially for this event from Indonesia. We are sorry that Faiza Hashimi, President of the International Islamic Women's Games, is unable to be with us tonight. She is one of our strongest supporters, and it is the first time that she has missed these awards. And now, I'd like to call upon the Right Honourable Gordon Brown to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum. And let me also start by thanking Ahmed Bersi and the Muslim News for inviting me to address you this evening. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to congratulate all those who have been nominated for the prestigious awards this evening, to thank Ahmed and the dedicated team of volunteers who were so kind to us as we came into the room this evening for making tonight's event possible, And let me add my personal thanks to the 22 from Indonesia this evening, KANJENG, for something that was as magical as we were promised and so inspirational that I am humbled to follow them this evening. I would like to congratulate the Muslim News on being the fastest growing Muslim paper in the United Kingdom, its readership growing by approximately 10% over the last year, and that is indeed impressive. And as the finance minister, I owe them a particular debt of gratitude. It's because businesses like yours can grow by 10% that I was able to meet my economic forecast that the economy would grow by 3%. Now, I'm delighted to be here to recognize and celebrate the huge, the invaluable, and the irreplaceable contribution of members of the Muslim community to Britain. Your contribution to the prosperity that we share, to the society and culture that we share together. Islam is Britain's second largest faith. Muslims are involved in every walk of British life, from politics, as we've just heard, academia, the law, the arts, the social services, to importantly also great humanitarian aid work, and of course to business and finance. And I want in particular, as Chancellor, to thank you for the enormous contribution that the Muslim community makes to our economy. And I have learnt much from your entrepreneurial talent and your flair. And with business creation higher in the Muslim community than in many other sections of our society, you are playing a vital role in the next stage of Britain's economic development. And of course that contribution goes far beyond the economic realm. Islam teaches me, and it teaches all of us, that we're all part of one moral universe, that humanity is intertwined and interlinked, just like different parts of a human body. This is a universal moral principle that we can all learn from. And in that spirit tonight, I believe we're acknowledging and rewarding the width and depth of the care and compassion demonstrated by British Muslims right across our communities and country. In the book, The Power of Myth, Joseph Campbell, the writer, described a hero as someone who gives their life to something bigger than themselves. And I want to honour you, members of the Muslim community, as modern heroes, standing for the highest ideals, making great contributions to your communities, bearing burdens and bringing hope to all of us across our country. Now, of course, the relationship between Islam, Muslims and Britain is not a new one. It is well established over the centuries. I am told, and one of my jobs is Master of the Mint as Chancellor of the Exchequer, that there is a coin in the British Museum that dates from the reign of King Offa of Mercia in the 8th century, which, because of what was believed to be the good trade relationships between our nation and the Muslim nations of the East, this coin bears both the mark of the British Isles and the Shahada, the Muslim declaration of faith. And of course, in more recent times, as we all know, the links have become really strong. Starting from rural areas of the Indian subcontinent in the 1950s, the largest migration of Muslims into this country began. And it was in areas like London's inner cities, the industrial towns of the Midlands, the textile towns of Lancashire, Yorkshire and Scotland, that the Muslim community demonstrated the entrepreneurial spirit and the important contribution to the country that we are proud of. And I think it was also in these great cities and areas and communities, whilst campaigning against poverty and for better access to educational opportunity for all, that many Muslims quickly developed a strong bond with other like-minded people that desired to see the same changes for social justice in our society. And what we share in common is the belief in fair play, in social justice, in the equality and potential not just some, but of all the people. And it's because of these beliefs that all of us, I believe, are concerned about tackling the social problems that industrial and other communities share in common. Problems of unemployment and underemployment, of underachievement and of frustrated potential. Indeed, these are the problems that many of us came into politics to tackle. I first stood for Parliament almost 30 years ago, And in my first election, I remember campaigning with my manifesto saying that this constituency needs a Member of Parliament of youth and fresh ideas. And in the coming election, I'll be reduced to saying in my manifesto, this constituency needs a Member of Parliament of maturity and experience. But I can tell you tonight that this government is determined to do what I think I also said in my first manifesto, to tackle unemployment, to raise educational achievement, to help develop the potential of all young Muslims in our country. And the New Deal, the minimum wage, the family tax credits that I believe are helping many families. In the budget last week, I announced we will set up new centres of vocational excellence and entrepreneurship to help young people from Muslim communities and from faith communities everywhere to fulfil their ambitions, to set up in business and to develop their potential to the full. And at a wider level, the government is also determined to help secure the future of all our children. And I heard this evening about the Sure Start centres and the children's centres that are providing vital services and new opportunities to thousands of children and families. And I know that in Tower Hamlets, for example, Muslim children and their parents are benefiting from the Sure Start creche that has been set up as part of the London Muslim Centre. And as you will be aware, I also introduced a new child trust fund so that for every child born since September 2002, we invest in the future of each and every one of them. Now, we do recognise the distinctive features that shape the Muslim community. And that's why, as has been mentioned this evening in the Treasury, we have sought to reform stamp duty to facilitate Islamic mortgages. We understand the needs of the Muslim community in this area, and we have learned from what you have taught us. Removing tax advantages for Islamic mortgages was the right thing to do for the Muslim community. It was also the right thing to do for our mortgage system as a whole. And in the budget last week, I was able to announce further measures to create a level playing field for other Sharia projects, and we will continue to do that in future. Now, all these measures are, I believe, about achieving the aims we share in common, and that is greater social justice in our communities. And it's for the same reasons that we've established the first state-funded Muslim faith schools. We've abolished the primary purpose rule, which unfairly affected ethnic minorities, particularly Muslim communities. And we've introduced legislation against hate crimes, including the new legislation that will outlaw religious discrimination in the workplace. And it is in the last few years under this government that the first Muslim MPs have been elected and the first Muslim peers appointed, and I'm pleased that some of them are with us this evening to join this celebration. But we have still much to do. I know that for many, many people, the last 2 years have been very difficult because of the decision to take military action in Iraq. And let me say frankly that I understand and I respect your views on that. And I also believe that despite our differences of opinion, we all want to see the same thing, an independent, peaceful and democratic Iraq. And we also want to see new hope in the Middle East. Tony Blair has made it clear that this issue is a top priority for the government, with a clear commitment to a viable state of Palestine alongside a secure Israel. And I believe that the recent Palestinian conference held in London renews the hope for peace. It will not be easy, but I believe it is possible to make progress, and we will do everything in our power to make this hope for peace a reality. And here at home, we are also determined to bring in the new law against incitement to religious hatred, giving British Muslims the same protection already afforded to other communities. And we want to make sure that religious discrimination is outlawed in the provision of goods and services too. All these policies are about fairness. It is about giving the Muslim community the same legal protection and the opportunities afforded to other communities. It is about equality and social justice, and it is right that it should be done. And all these steps are not about the government or you, the Muslim community, doing the expedient thing. It is about doing the right thing based on our shared values. And in the end, despite what many may think, we know that the partnership between the Labour government and the Muslim community is not a relationship of convenience. It is a relationship built on principle and common purpose. I think we share the same beliefs in the values of enterprise and fair play. But more than that, and I want to focus just on this in my remaining remarks, I believe we share the same principles about social equality and social justice, both within our country and right across the world. It's within that spirit that you've asked me, and I'm privileged this evening, to present the Ibn Khaldun Award for Excellence in promoting understanding between global cultures and faiths. Because nowhere do we see this understanding more clearly than in our common cause, and that is to tackle and eradicate global poverty. I know one of the fundamental teachings of Islam is that of sadaqah, charity and assistance to those in need. The essential Islamic belief that none of you is a true believer until you want for your brother what you want for yourself. That reflects a shared moral sense that has resonance, I believe, across the whole world. It's a morality that leads us to conclude that when some are poor, all of us are impoverished. When some are deprived, our whole society is diminished. When some are hurt, the whole society shares that suffering. That we are indeed part of a moral universe, and wherever and whenever there is poverty, deprivation, suffering and need, it is our duty to act. And I know I do not need to tell you about the intertwining of destinies and lives. The hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, that the ummah, the Muslim global community, is like the human body. When one part feels pain, the other parts must reflect that pain. And that's a principle which applies, in my view, to the whole of humanity, beyond the Muslim world. A truth that emphasizes our duty to all, our concern for the stranger or the outsider, the hand of friendship across continents that says, I am my brother and my sister's keeper, and I will be your comfort in times of difficulty. The words of the poet Ghalib reinforce this. My companion's condition is a reflection of my soul, he says. My companion's need unfulfilled is a blemish on my soul. The path I contemplate is only of use if it fulfills my companion's need. Who then is my companion? My companion is every creation of God. And I believe that already this year, and we've heard it already this evening, the response to the tsunami, that greatest of natural disasters, that was met by the greatest of human compassion, that response has demonstrated to us all the willingness of people to come to the aid of fellow human beings who suffer. And a prime example of that generosity of heart, as we've heard already, was from within the British Muslim community. Indeed, far from them being what people call compassion fatigue, perhaps for the first time, millions more people across the world are understanding just how closely and irrevocably bound together are the fortunes of the richest persons in the richest countries to the fate of the poorest people in the poorest countries. As Martin Luther King put it once, increasingly we see ourselves as each strands in an inescapable network of mutuality. We are together woven into a single garment of destiny. I recalled a few months ago when I gave a speech, a poem by Dr. James Stockinger. And he wrote then about the interdependence of each of us upon each other. He said, it's the hands of others who grow the food we eat, who sew the clothes we wear, who build the houses we inhabit. It's the hands of others who tend us when we are sick and who lift us up when we fall. It's the hands of others who bring us into this world and who lower us into the earth. And that emphasizes we are in an era of global interdependence. We do rely upon each other across continents. We are a world society of shared needs, common interests, mutual responsibilities, and yes, linked destinies. And we have a responsibility across nations and across continents to those who need our help. And it's precisely because we believe in that moral sense that we have obligations to others beyond our front doors and our garden gates, responsibilities beyond the walls of our cities, duties to each other beyond our national borders, as part of one moral universe, is precisely because we share a sense of what is just and what is fair, that we are angry at the injustice and inhumanity that blights the life of so many people across the world, that we are called to answer the hunger of the hungry, the needs of the needy, the suffering of the sick, whoever and wherever they are, that we see every death and suffering from hunger and disease as if it were death and suffering in our own family. In the last few years, as Chancellor of the Exchequer, I've had the privilege, on behalf of our country, to visit some of the poorest parts of Asia and of Africa. And I've seen poverty, and I've seen desperation, and I've seen despair, from Indonesia to Tanzania, from Kenya down to Mozambique. And no statistics, however depressing, can prepare you for the hopelessness and human loss that lies behind some of the suffering I saw. But I saw also amidst that suffering hope, optimism, a determination to work together to see things change. And I witnessed that suffering and the potential, and I believe it is our duty to act and act urgently to help those in greatest need. In Indonesia, I remember seeing young children being brought up in villages above open sewers, bright-eyed young girls and boys, yet condemned to poverty because, try as they did, their parents could not earn enough money to feed and to clothe them. In Kenya, I saw 8, 9 and 10-year-old children begging to continue in school, but denied the chance because their parents would not be able to continue to afford the school fees. In Mozambique, I saw young mothers desperate for their children to go to school, and they were waving their paychecks from the sugar factory, checks of only £5 a week, and raising their hands as one to complain angrily that they could not even afford their children's education. And then in Tanzania, I met a young victim who was dying from a terrible disease, who said to me he could not even afford the bus fares to see a doctor or the fees that the doctor would charge. And he said, "Are we not all brothers?" And I met his sister, who wanted to be, because of the suffering of her brother, a doctor, but she could not afford to stay on at school. Her chances, not just of medical education, but school education, denied forever, her potential never to be fulfilled. But surely it is our belief that every child is precious, and every child is unique, and every child deserves the chance to develop their potential to the full. And I know what you're thinking: if I could help that young girl, or help these children get the chances that they have been denied, then I would do so. But if we could help hundreds and then thousands and then millions, just what a better world this would be. Now, I know the importance Islam places upon the protection of children, and particularly of the orphans I saw so many of in Africa. And I'm aware that the Prophet Muhammad, as an orphan himself, emphasized the right of his child to protection, to nurture and to care. But I say to you that justice promised will always be justice denied unless we can fulfill our obligation in this generation to work to eradicate child poverty and poverty in every continent of the world. Exactly 6 years ago, in New York, in a historic declaration, every world leader and every international body and almost every single country signed up to a commitment to right the greatest wrongs of our time. They promised that by 2015, every child in the world would have the chance of schooling. The promise that by 2015, avoidable infant deaths could be and would be prevented. The promise that by 2015, at least poverty would be halved on the way to its eradication. And this commitment was a bond of trust, perhaps the greatest bond of trust pledged between rich and poor countries. But already so close to the start of that journey to 2015, we can see that our destination risks becoming out of reach and receding into the distance. Because at present, on present progress, in sub-Saharan Africa, just to give one example, primary education for every child will not be delivered in 2015. It will not even be delivered by 2130, 115 years too late. and the halving of poverty not by 2015, but at the earliest by 2150, 135 years too late. And that elimination of avoidable infant deaths so possible because of new technology available in medicine, not by 2015, but by 2165. So when people ask how long, the world must reply 150 years is too long for peoples to wait for justice. And it's too long to wait when infants are dying while the rest of the world has the medicines to heal them. And it's too long for people to wait when a promise that was made by the richest countries should be redeemed, and that bond of trust should be honoured now in this decade. And when we know the scale of suffering that has to be addressed, the problem is not that the promises were wrong, or the pledges unrealistic, or the commitments unnecessary, because we know the scale of suffering. The problem is that we, the richest countries, have been too slow in developing the means to honour, fulfil, and deliver promises we freely made. Now, in the past, we could excuse ourselves by blaming our ignorance that we did not know what was happening. But we cannot use ignorance as an excuse now, because we can see on our television screens exactly what is happening in the ravaged faces of too many of the 30,000 children who die each day unnecessarily. And we can't blame our inaction on inadequate science, because we have the science to prevent unnecessary deaths. And we can't defend our inaction invoking a lack of medical cures, because we know that, for example, as many as half of all malaria deaths could be prevented if people had access to diagnosis and drugs that in some cases cost no more than 12 cents. That is why this year, in 2005, the year when we're president of the G7 and the European Union, we want to write off the historic debt that is owed by the poorest countries, to enable these countries to spend money on their health and their education. That's why we want to make advances in trade, so countries have the capacity to make wealth from the trade they do with other countries around the world. And that's why, as was mentioned a few minutes ago, we want an international financing facility to double aid to half poverty, so that developing countries, from Indonesia and Asia right across to Africa and Latin America, have the resources they need to eradicate poverty and provide health care for all. And when people ask whether we can make a difference, when they say our proposals are too difficult, when they say it is too expensive, we should reply in the words of the Sufi Rumi, conventional opinion is the ruin of our souls. For we may be powerless individuals if we work on our own. But if we work together, each and all of us, in this country and with the links we have right across the continents, we have the power to shape history for the good. Now, my father, who was my inspiration, used to tell me, we can all leave our mark for good or for ill. And he used to quote Martin Luther King, saying that everyone, from the poorest to the richest, can be great, because everyone can serve other people. And tonight's event is so important because it recognizes exactly that we're at our best when we work together to serve others, that this is the only way forward, serving each other for us as a country and for the international community. So our duty is to raise international understanding, to reach beyond ourselves and beyond our borders, to embrace each other, and in doing so to try to make the world a better place. Maybe we cannot make this a world completely without suffering, but we can reduce the numbers of children who are malnourished. We can give more children, millions more, the chance of education. We can together prevent thousands of children dying from preventable diseases. And it's because we feel, however distantly, the pain of others. It's because we do believe in something bigger than ourselves that there can be no greater opportunity to make a difference than there is now. In our time, in our generation, we must accept this challenge. And I believe that we can together say with vigor and say with optimism that working together we can make this world a better place. Thank you very much.
The first of our awards this evening, as mentioned by the Chancellor, is the Ibn Khaldun International Award for Excellence in Promoting Understanding Between Faiths and Cultures. The award's namesake was an important historian, sociologist, philosopher, adventurer and diplomat who aimed to bring understanding through his writings and through his peace missions. This award has been presented by the Foreign Office and will now be presented by the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
The winner is Ibrahim Shah Mohammed.
Ibrahim Shah Mohammed has dedicated the past 40 years to the Muslim student movement, the Islamic Council, and now Muslim Aid. As coordinator of the London-based British Muslim charity Muslim Aid, Muslim Aid, he heads a small team of highly professional staff and is responsible for the management and effective running of the organisation. He travelled to Iraq in 2003 to assess the devastation, enabling Muslim Aid to target their efforts accordingly. He has been involved in international relations for many years.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm indeed humbled by this honor. I didn't expect this. I was asked to come, so I came. I'm really grateful. This was the achievement of Muslim Aid has been the work of dedicated group of trustees, some of whom are here, and they give their time and their resources for over the years. And also the staff who have been dedicated and work long hours to achieve what has been achieved. Of course, I cannot forget the donors who keep us going. Year in, year out, they give us quite substantial resources for us to help in countries which are poor. The Chancellor has said very clearly what poverty means. What I wanted to tell to our Chancellor is that in 1969, the Pearson Commission came up with a formula that the rich countries should pay 0.7% of their GNP to help the poor. And this was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 1970. To this day, most countries have not fulfilled this, including our own. I think this is important that what they promise is kept. And I hope the Chancellor is here, and I hope he will do his best.
The difficult decision of getting between nominee status to winner is left in the hands of our highly distinguished and diverse judges. Overseeing this process is the chair of the judging panel, a journalist and writer originally from Bahrain and now residing in London. He was the former editor of the Arabic weekly newspaper Al-A'la. He's now a political analyst and commentator. I am, of course, talking about Dr. Saeed Shahabi.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Over the past 6 months, members of the panel held meetings to choose the winners of the Muslim News Awards for Excellence 2005 from more than 100 candidates nominated by the public. The task was extremely difficult. Most of the candidates were of high caliber in their own fields, and making a choice was not easy at all. After intensive deliberations, the judges managed to narrow their selection and produced a short list, from which the winners were finally chosen. The final list was based on points allocated by each judge to each candidate. The process of selection was independent of the Muslim News, and the judges had a total freedom of choice. We are pleased with the final list of winners and feel proud that the community has such people who have excelled in their particular fields. The judges had to make their own choice for the short list and the final winners. It was a free choice by everyone, influenced only by one's conscience. I am also thrilled by the enthusiasm exhibited by the judges, some of whom had to make long journeys to attend the meetings, which often extended to late hours of the night. It was an opportunity to us all to glance at the potentials in terms of human talents and personal dedications of those nominated for the awards. I like to take this opportunity to express my thanks to my colleagues on the panel, Amina Ann Coxon, Caroline Dial, Husna Ahmed, Abdul Karim Khalil, Ayyub Rashid Mbego, and Razia Wahid. May I also thank those involved in the process, especially Brother Ihsan Masood, Sister Shaheen Muhammad, and Tabassum Jafri for their energetic preparations and follow-up. The judges would also like to thank Mr. Ahmed Versi for his efforts as the editor of Muslim News and the other members of the editorial board. Thank you very much.
Good citizenship, ladies and gentlemen, is essential in any society. The next award recognises those who, like Alija Izetbegovic, Bosnia-Herzegovina's former president, have a resolve and a conviction to make a difference. This award for good citizenship has been sponsored by Metropolitan Home Ownership and is presented this evening by the chairman of one of the country's leading charitable housing associations, the Metropolitan Housing Trust. Please welcome Museji Takolia.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's a great pleasure to be presenting this award, but just before I do it, since I am here in official capacity, for the benefit of the Muslim community, if you want to put more pressure on the office of the Deputy Prime Minister, there is a little booklet that is with all of you, a purple one, that is called Affordable Home Ownership for the Muslim Community. If you complete that, we'll have some idea about the level of interest there is, and we'll certainly do our best to ensure that there is appropriate financing for affordable home ownership in this country. Now, the winner of this award is somebody I've admired for a long time for his dedicated work in education. His name is Ibrahim Hewitt.
Ibrahim Hewitt is an active and committed Muslim. As a former chairman of the Islamia Schools Trust and the chairman of the British Muslim charity Interpol, he has become involved with many issues facing the Muslim community in Britain as well as globally. He is dedicated to upholding the tradition of faith schools in the UK and is head of Al-Aqsa Primary School in Leicester. His sense of justice prompted him to stand firm amid unsubstantiated claims that Interpol supports terrorism. His fight to defend the charity is testimony to his abilities and work in the community.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's not often I'm lost for words, but tonight is one of those times. Jazakumullah khair to the judges. At least I know these, I don't know if the Chancellor's gone, but at least these votes didn't have to have sweeteners to get them coming in, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair for whoever nominated me, and you know, the great thing about being chair of a charity is that other people do all the work and we get the credit. So, and I mean that because we have a great team, very dedicated, and I'd like to thank them all, because this award is really for them, both in terms of Interpol and at the school. And Jazakumullah khair, thank you very much.
Uthman Danfodio has been hailed as Western Africa's most influential Islamic scholar. Establishing the Sokoto Caliphate, his mission was education, and he crusaded against illiteracy, particularly among women. The award in his name, sponsored by the Home Office, is for excellence in community development, and will be presented tonight by the Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for the Home Office, Fiona McTaggart, MP.
But actually, I wanted to thank Ahmed Versi and Muslim News for this event and these awards, because not only am I the Minister who's responsible for relations with the faith communities, I'm also the Minister for Charities. And actually, I think it's quite right that the first two awards have been given to people involved in charities, because we need to celebrate the generosity of the Muslim community, and I think that it's great that Muslim News has given us this opportunity to do so. So sorry about that name thing. You know, the first time I came to these awards 2 years ago, I was wearing a headscarf. And I was doing that because I had cancer and I had no hair. And so I covered up my head. And I think some of the people in the audience thought that I was acting in solidarity with women who were wearing the hijab. I wasn't. You know, my hair's now grown back. But actually, having to wear a covering over my head, which sometimes did make people think that I was wearing a hijab, gave me a little experience of the consequences of Islamophobia in the day-to-day lives of many women in this country. And all I can say is that it made me even more determined to make sure that that experience doesn't happen to anyone else in future. And I'm very pleased that this award, named in honour of a Muslim African scholar, one of whose major contributions was to say that women in Islam are in the centre of Islam and have the same rights to education as men in Islam. I'm very glad that the winner of this award is Southwark Muslim Women's Association. It's very fitting.
Southwark Muslim Women's Association is celebrating its Silver Jubilee. This family centre in southeast London offers education, activities, youth projects and social events for Muslim women and their families. Many women appreciate the friendly atmosphere at SMWA, and the creche facilities ensure they are free to enjoy health and fitness classes, dressmaking, language lessons and much more. An annual iftari, breaking of the fast, and Eid Mela at the SMWA provides an opportunity to fundraise for worthy causes.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. I think I wasn't prepared for the speech today because I'm usually in the organization, is very familiar with the environment there, and I'm quite nervous seeing so many of my brothers and sisters to achieve this award for our organization, which has existed for 25 years. It's just been mentioned, we celebrated last week our 25th anniversary, alhamdulillah. And inshallah, we'll go on for another 25 years with the funding. I think there are a lot of people who will fund us for the work that we're doing for the Muslim community, inshallah. And I thank everybody who has really helped us to get so far, especially the people of the community who are not here. Just women who had come through the door when I was just leaving the office and said, Arida, can we just have a quick word with you? I never looked at my time and just stopped and said, yeah, I'm here. And I just really feel for those women who really have supported the organization and children. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. And also I'd like to thank my mum, who's not here, but the woman I am today, as we also celebrated the International Women's Event Day on the 5th of March, the organisation celebrated this event on the 9th, and it also related to hate crime, which was mentioned in the speech earlier on. The barriers that we have as a Muslim community, the organisation tends to pick up all these points. As I said, I wasn't prepared for a speech, but I think my mind starts to work when I see that there are a lot of people listening, and I make the most of it. Thank you very much.
Our next award allows us to travel back in time to 8th century and to reminisce over the beauty of Muslim Andalusia. Almost unrivaled for its aesthetic and architectural splendour, the entire city of Alhambra has been declared a national monument, with some of the most elegant examples of Islamic calligraphy and artwork integrated into the very fabric of that city. It's only fitting, therefore, that the Alhambra Award should be the award for excellence in the arts. Sponsored by the Islamic Bank of Britain, this award will be presented by its Managing Director, Michael Hanlon.
Distinguished guests, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. The Islamic Bank of Britain is very proud to be associated with the Muslim News Awards for Excellence. The bank actually is the very first wholly Sharia compliant bank to be authorised to undertake retail banking activities here in the UK, and indeed, if my research is correct, across the whole of Western Europe. Islamic banking doesn't really fit very comfortably into the Western banking model, and historically has always been viewed as somewhat impossible to accommodate. But you know, things change. The current government's desire to achieve a more inclusive society has been at the forefront of many changes, and which in this instance has seen obstacles replaced by solutions, thereby enabling for the very first time British Muslims to now have access to retail banking services and products which are compliant with their faith. And it's often that desire to pursue change for a better future which delivers excellence. You know, such qualities feature within this room this evening, and particularly amongst those who have received and those who will receive the awards. So I'm really delighted to be able to make this presentation for the Alhambra Award for Excellence in the Arts, and which goes to the winner, Qasim Abid.
Unfortunately, Qasim Abid is currently in Iraq, but may I invite his wife, Larissa Abid, to accept this award on his behalf.
Qasim Abid is a pioneering Iraqi-born film director whose work explores the complex and painful themes of exile. He spent 30 years living outside Iraq, having fled Saddam Hussein's appropriation of the arts. In 1990, his documentary film, Amid the Alien Corn, was screened on Channel 4 to great reviews. Iraqi Women, Voices from Exile, was screened on Channel 4 in 1993, and his powerful documentary on the life and work of assassinated Palestinian artist Naji al-Ali brought him critical acclaim. Qasim, who lives in northwest London, works on Arab and Palestinian television and runs filming courses in Britain and Jerusalem, and more recently in Baghdad.
Qasim unfortunately had to miss this wonderful celebration today, but he did ask me to say a few words and to thank all the organizers of this particular event. And he was very humbled and at the same time very delighted that he was nominated for this award. He basically did ask me to say that he thinks that a lot of credit for this high award should go to the students of the Independent Film and TV College in Baghdad. This is where he is working at the moment.
and it's been a joy to work with the young Iraqi men and women who, with their passion and hard work in these complicated times, confirm their faith and belief in a bright future of Iraqi journalism, a journalism which will spread the news of Iraq to the world and help the Iraqi people establish a civil society by themselves and for themselves. He also would like to say thank you to all organizations and individuals who, with their material support and funding, have made this particular project a reality. Thank you very much.
The next award is the Award for Excellence in Education. It's aptly named after the Sankore University, which is West Africa's oldest educational institution. The pride of not only Mali, but also surrounding countries, Sankore University was built in 989 CE alongside the famous Sankore Mosque. Caroline Spellman MP, the Shadow Secretary of State for Local and Devolved Government Affairs, will present this award, which has been sponsored by Kingsland Pharmacy.
Well, good evening, everyone, and what a fabulous evening of celebration, of achievement this is. And certainly I would like to thank you for doing me and the Conservative Party the honour of the opportunity to present one of these awards. And just to be at this event, I think is so important because it's something that really highlights the positive role of Muslims in British society, and we can really celebrate excellence in all these awards tonight. Now, I would just like to say one special thank you to Ahmed Versi. Thank you very much, Ahmed, for all you've done to make this event possible. And just a special thank you for you because you were kind enough to acknowledge that we have actually this time a record number of Muslim candidates standing for us in the general election. And you were kind enough to give two of them a good chance at the forthcoming election. I would particularly like to commend to you Ali Miraj, who's actually with us tonight, one of our candidates. But thank you to your editor for his generosity. Now I'm here to present the Education Award, and I think as we all felt when Gordon Brown spoke with such passion about the importance of education for our children, I think that's something that, whatever your political persuasion, is something that you would agree with me and with him is just so vital. And I would particularly like to commend the Muslim faith schools in our country who contribute, I think, such a great deal to the choice in education, which we believe as a party is so very important. So I would just like to focus on the awards, the Sankore University, what the nucleus of West African Muslim education. It evokes, I know, for all of you, a great sense of history and the tradition which is so strong in the Muslim faith of the importance of education. So with no more ado, I will announce the winner of the Excellence in Education Award. And the winner is Hassan Chaudhry.
Hassan Chowdhury has been head teacher of Edinburgh Primary School in Waltham Forest, East London, since January 2000. By 2002, the school had developed from being identified as having serious weaknesses to entering the top 10 of the most improved primary schools in the UK. Hassan completed a PGCE at the Institute of Education in 1990, having qualified as an accountant 3 years previously. He recently carried out research with the National College for School Leadership regarding issues of teaching in London and has been featured in the Times Educational Supplement.
Assalamu alaikum. Wow. Didn't expect to say anything because it's our holidays now, so I didn't expect to say anything. Just to say what a privilege it is to accept this award on behalf of the school, because we have worked tremendously hard over the past 5 years. We started with a slow base and now we're accepted as one of the improving schools in the country. So I'd like to thank the people who've worked with me, the colleagues, my family who bore the brunt of my late nights and my forever working at school during the weekends. But one of the people I'd like to thank is the group of children who've inspired me to work in this way. And I'm sure you will see them in 10, 15 years' time, being the future generation of Muslim leaders. So thank you, and inshallah we'll get better. Thank you very much.
The next award, ladies and gentlemen, Ibn Sina, a Persian physician and philosopher, born near Bukhara. By the time he was 10 years old, he'd learnt the Quran as well as Arabic grammar and literature. By the tender age of 16, he'd mastered not only natural science and rudimentary metaphysics, but also medical theory. Not satisfied with that, he went on to practice medicine. In his famous 5-volume The Canon of Medicine, Ibn Sina provided the then definitive analysis of medical knowledge. This award for health in his name is sponsored by Pharmaco 2000, a cooperative venture which supports independent pharmacies. Please welcome Murtaza Ghulam Hussain, Director of Pharmaco 2000, to present this award.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. What I'm about to say has been made easier by what Ahmed Versi said and the Chancellor, because today is a very important milestone for our company Pharmaco 2000, which is sponsoring this year's Healthcare Award. Those of you who are here in the preceding year will remember Pharmaco was shortlisted and then awarded the accolade for the Best Enterprise Award last year. We have since built on that success, and our partnership model with profit sharing is something we hope we can share with the community, for we believe it can be replicated in many countries and industries. In fact, our belief and our motto is that by the strength of our common endeavor, we achieve more than we achieve alone. We also take our responsibility to the community very seriously, and one of the ways we do that is by allocating a fixed percentage of our profits to charitable causes. In the last year, we have given to diverse projects such as sponsoring orphans in Iraq, the tsunami relief, school building in Tanzania, and appropriately today is also Water Day, World Water Day, and we also help well digging in Africa. I understand there are 1 billion people who cannot access clean water. We also support fair trade, which promotes better prices for farmers. And nowadays we are being inundated with students, overseas students, who are finding it increasingly difficulty in making ends meet. And to help them, we aim to establish a foundation fund for which I hope you will support us. Finally, I would like to express my thanks to all those, including the Muslim News, for making this possible. As to the award itself, just like education, healthcare is an important facet of the economy and society, and its excellence has to be applauded. To the winner, I congratulate you, for I know how fulfilling this can be, having been on this stage last year. To the runners-up, equal congratulations, for your quality and excellence has also been recognized here. And the winner for the Ibn Sina Award for Healthcare is Alimuddin Zumla.
Professor Zumla is a Muslim physician-scientist who has excelled in his work despite nearly losing his life to meningitis when a junior doctor. He is Professor of Infectious Diseases and International Health at University College London and Consultant Infectious Diseases Physician at University College Hospital. He set up the London TB Link project to assess access to care by disadvantaged people and has highlighted AIDS and TB problems in developing countries through his advocacy writing and work with NGOs. He was awarded the Albert Chalmers Medal by the Royal Society for Tropical Medicine and the Windrush Award for Academic Achievement in 2003.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. When one wins an award, it's not the individual that has earned it. It's all the people who work with him and work for him. I'd first like to thank my loving wife, Azana, and my 3 children who have been a great support in the long absences I have to spend from home. Secondly, I'd like to thank the organizers of Muslim News, of this event, particularly the editor, Ahmed Versi. The Honorable Gordon Brown, who has been my hero for quite a while because of the compassion he has shown to the poor peoples of this world. We share this in common. We have a large program of research and training in developing countries, funded by the British government, Department for International Development, and the European Union. And with the monies that they have made available to us, we've developed an extensive program of research and development working on diseases which affect the poor. 3 million people die of malaria each year. It's treatable diseases, a treatable disease which takes just 30 cents or 20p to treat. Now, isn't it shameful that it's 60 years since the treatment for malaria was available, and yet we can't get treatment delivered to the poor peoples of this world? On top of this, we've now had the HIV epidemic, which is killing millions of people throughout the world. And compounded on this is tuberculosis. Most people think TB was a disease of the past. Unfortunately, it is not. It's come back with a vengeance. And even in England, we have tuberculosis. There were 6,000 cases of active TB in the United Kingdom, and the numbers are rising. I think this is an ideal opportunity for us all to hold hands together with Gordon Brown, move forward, and help break the poverty disease cycle. Thank you.
The next award is the Ibn Battuta Award for Excellence in the Media. Named after Muhammad ibn Abdullah Battuta, a widely travelled and widely regarded explorer whose tales of adventure and mystery are collected in the Rihla, this award celebrates the advantages of communication and empathy. And to present this award, ladies and gentlemen, please give a very warm welcome to Leader of the Liberal Democrats, the Right Honourable Charles Kennedy MP.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would just like to very much pay attention to the strictures to be brief here, but thank you to the organisers for the invitation this evening and the opportunity to present this very important media award. Whether it is the reporting of natural disasters of recent times, or indeed of man-made disasters like war, the responsibility upon the media is absolutely fundamental. The communication of accurate information which informs and educates people as to what is taking place in the world round about them. And politicians, it seems to me, particularly when general elections are just round the corner, share a responsibility with the media as well, because great debates take place and communicate to millions of people through the prism of the media. And just as we want responsible journalism, we want responsible politicians as well. And I very much echo the words of earlier this evening, that if we were to debate sensitive issues over coming weeks, like, say, immigration and asylum, in the context of our own British society, let all senior politicians who want to engage in such a perfectly responsible debate begin with their own personal statement, and this quite simply is mine. I'm happy to engage in that debate, but my starting point is I believe our society, British society, is an enriched society precisely because it is a multi-ethnic, multi-racial society. And I believe that should be the context of such a debate. The winner, very distinguished and very deserved recipient of this award on so many fronts, and we will hear more in a moment, is Akhil Ahmed.
Akhil Ahmed was responsible for some of the most positive BBC programming during his time there, and continues to be influential as commissioning editor of religious programmes at Channel 4. Since taking his current position, viewers have watched Sharia TV, dealing with everyday issues facing Muslims living in the UK today, and Karbala, City of Martyrs, which examines the Shia population in Iraq.
I don't expect to win prizes because this is actually the first ever award I've ever won. I've collected prizes on behalf of projects, but to actually win one has come as a bit of a shock. So I'd like to thank Ahmed for that, for actually getting a first on me, for actually making me win an award. I think possibly the first award I've ever picked up since I won the Under 11s Bolton football competition. And if only I'd been a professional footballer, it'd be a bit more interesting. I'm really glad that Charles is here as well to give me the award. And I just want to thank everybody here who's obviously enjoying themselves and wanting to be there at dinner. And also just to say, we're very proud at Channel 4 for the projects that we do on Islam and on religions in general. And to let you know that Sharia TV starts on the 4th of April. And later in the year, we'll be doing some programs dedicated to Islam, in which we'll be doing the first ever film on the life of the Prophet. So hopefully, inshallah, this October we'll have a groundbreaking film that will tell the rest of the country about the message of this great man and our religion. Thank you very much.
The next award, ladies and gentlemen, is one that's very close to my own heart. It's the al-Mu'mineen Khadija Award for Enterprise. Mother of the faithful, Khadija, beloved wife of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was an inspirational individual, enterprising, independent, and successful. This pre-feminist woman, through hard work and skill, achieved business success that was unparalleled in her time. Presenting this award for excellence in enterprise, which has been sponsored by Melcombe Pharmaceuticals, is Minister of State for Energy and E-Commerce, Mike O'Brien MP.
I'd like to begin by thanking Ahmed Versi for inviting me to join you tonight. I've known Ahmed for many years now, and I'm very grateful for his friendship. I'm delighted to be here. The award I'm presenting tonight, the al-Mu'mineen Khadija Award for Excellence in Enterprise, is an important one. And if I may say so, there could be no more appropriate person to name the award after. I'm aware of the formidable reputation of Khadija as the first person to accept the faith of Islam. The very fact that she is al-Mu'mineen, mother of the believers, is a great tribute to her spirit and to her history and importance. I realise that as an independent, wealthy businesswoman, of course she chose her own husband, and it was the Prophet Muhammad, and ran her own trading company. She represented the very spirit of enterprise. She would have been an amazing and an accomplished woman in any age. But what made her even more remarkable was that she did not let the tribal, male-dominated strictures and structures of 6th century Saudi Arabia hold her back. I am also aware that she was a great advocate of social justice and equality, and of course has been one of the guiding, objectives of Islam. And it also provides the framework for the sense of community that all Muslims share, indeed a principle which is shared by all faiths. The emphasis placed on social justice when Islam was emerging was particularly contentious, but this did not stop Khadija spending her wealth to promote equality and justice, particularly for the poor and for the needy. And of course, she shared not only her willingness to develop her wealth and to make prosperity for her people, but also to share that wealth and to ensure that she helped to create equality and a sense of social justice in our society. So there can indeed be no higher token than to receive this award, and it is therefore with the greatest of pleasure that I today announce that the al-Mu'mineen Khadija Award for Excellence in Enterprise is to be awarded to Nihat Awan.
Manchester-born Nigat Awan took charge of her own garment factory at the age of 18. and through successful businesses in clothing and floristry, now heads the international Sherry Khan empire of restaurants and curry products. She won the Outstanding Contribution Award at the 2004 Manchester Food and Drink Awards and received an OBE for her commitment to corporate and social responsibility and fundraising for Cancer BACUP.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. My God, am I surprised, am I shocked to be stood here today. I cannot believe it. Believe me, I have received awards before, but this is one of the best of all, the most beautiful, the most honourable. To start this evening, the way we did start this evening, was the most memorable thing for me ever anyway. I wouldn't have missed this evening for anything, irrelevant whether I got this award or not. I am one of those people that hears to serve people. That is my dream. That is where I want to be. One day, I hope that I will help with power and hope that a lot of young people will work with me. Me, my CV, 91, I had cancer. 92, I had irreversible paralysis. Where did I walk? Where did I stand up? Where did I say, Ya Allah? My little 5-year-old son said, Mummy, if you don't walk here, I will never come here again to God's home. How do you think I felt? I just put my hands on the chair and I said, Ya Allah, give me the strength. That's where I stood up, and today I'm running. It didn't stop there. In 1994, I had hysterectomy. In 96, my right lung blew up, of which I have only 1.5 lungs today. In 2003, I had heart surgery. But by the grace of God, by the grace of being born at the right place, at the right time, in the right country, having the right people, having National Health Service, and all the opportunities that I had, I am stood here today saying, thank you all very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've got your food. I'm looking on with envy. But please, please, can we keep your attention focused to the awards and the winners this evening? Please, can you keep your conversation to a bare minimum? And also, again, to presenters and recipients, it's the same message I'm being hounded to ask you again. Please keep your presentations to a minute long. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the next award. Faiza Hashmi's relentless campaign secured the way for allowing women to compete and excel in Olympic sports. Previously excluded, Faiza Hashmi showed that it was possible for women to compete at the highest levels without compromising their religious identity. This award in her name celebrates those who have excelled in sport. Unfortunately, as you've heard from Ahmed Versi already, Faiza is unable to join us this evening due to pressing engagements. But we're pleased instead to have with us Iqbal Sakrani, Secretary-General of the Muslim Council of Britain and the first Muslim ambassador to back the London Olympic bid. Ladies and gentlemen, Iqbal Sakrani.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most kind, most merciful. Distinguished guests, friends, Assalamu alaikum. It is always a pleasure attending the Muslim News Awards ceremony. Well, it has been 16 years since the Muslim News was first launched as the first free monthly newspaper. It doesn't seem to be too long when I look into back the time of the Satanic Verses, when Ahmad was running around getting the very first interviews of individuals protesting against the movement at that time. Well, throughout this time, the Muslim News has, with only a tiny but immensely dedicated staff, became an essential and reliable source of information about issues of concerns to British Muslims. One just has to visit the website, which contains an archive of material going back many, many years. And it's, I believe, is a very veritable and a treasure trove for anyone with an interest in the recent history of British Muslims. I know I'm present here to award the Excellence in Sports Award. But first, I wanted to pay a tribute to our hosts, and I'm sure you will join me to our friends in the Muslim News. I am, of course, delighted to present the Excellence in Sports Award, not least because often the portrayal of Muslims in our media is so unfairly and one-dimensional. The impression, too, often left with many British readers and viewers is that Muslims have nothing to offer the West except violence and destruction. At the Muslim Council of Britain, we have worked steadily, despite an always uphill climb, to try and improve the coverage of Islam in our print and broadcast media. And we regularly meet with editors and senior journalists to discuss our concerns. Having a good role model in the area of sports will undoubtedly help in this important task all the time. But may I also, since the word election has been mentioned, the Muslim Council of Britain very shortly will be producing the voters card, or a pledge card, as we are trying to finally decide what name to give to, which will be identifying the top 10 issues that we believe the Muslim community needs to be aware of, which will be questioned to the candidates and the parties as to where they actually stand on. We are also preparing a document, Electing to Listen, which will be widely distributed and will be on the website, highlighting the key issues and concerns of the community. Before I announce the winner, let me also take the opportunity to show the appreciation to the sponsor of the award, Faiza Hashmi, who couldn't be with us today. She's indeed, as we have heard earlier on, quite a brave and one of the first ladies in Iran to have gone through the reform movement. And therefore it's particularly my pleasure to present the award to the sports personality, if I could call it the sports personality of the year, as far as the Muslim News Award is concerned. And the winner is no other than Danny Williams.
"31-year-old Danny Williams, who lives in South London, is a rare breed of boxer. After a spectacular victory against Mike Tyson in 2004, beating him in a fourth-round knockout, Danny rose to prominence and could one day be WBO heavyweight champion of the world.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I give praises due to Allah, because without Allah, I'm nothing. You know, alhamdulillah. And that is the end of my speech. Thank you very much.
That's the kind of speech I like and the kind of speech I'm going to encourage the rest of you to make. The next award, ladies and gentlemen, this evening celebrates excellence in engineering, science and technology. Fazlur Rahman Khan was the father of modern-day tall buildings. His most notable construction was the 110-story tall Sears Tower, which in its time was a revolutionary new concept and design which took us into the skyscraper era. His last major project, which many of you will have visited, was the Hajj terminal in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Bringing together traditional Bedouin tent design with contemporary fiberglass and cable, the terminal now provides shade for over 80,000 pilgrims at a time. The Fazlur Rahman Khan Award has been sponsored by the Ministry of Defence and will be presented this evening by Caroline Deal, the Chief Executive of Media Trust, an organisation which helps charities to communicate.
Good evening, salam alaikum. I will try, as my organisation teaches us, to be brief. Ahmed said at the beginning of this evening that very few people, particularly in the Muslim community, who give their time to charity and voluntary work, want to be seen to be doing this, want to be in the media. At the Media Trust, we want to change this. And it is very pertinent for us to be presenting this award, which is in honor of a man who built skyscrapers, Fazlur Rahman Khan, because we want those of you in this room and in the Muslim community who give their time to charity and to voluntary organisation to be like skyscrapers, to be visible, to stand out in the community, to be beacons. This is the year of the volunteer. Please, all of you, do engage with the media, come through the Media Trust if you want to, be seen, be visible. Now, it is my great pleasure and delight to announce to you the Fazlur Rahman Khan Award for Excellence in Engineering, Science and Technology, which goes to Professor Tariq Salim Durrani.
Professor Durrani is Deputy Principal and Professor of Signal Processing at the University of Strathclyde. He is Director of the Institute for System Level Integration and the Scottish Electronics Technology Group. He is responsible for lifelong learning, staff development and the promotion of entrepreneurship, as well as university and industry collaborative research. He is also a Fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering, the IEE and the Royal Society of Edinburgh.
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasure and honor to receive this award. I'm delighted, both in terms of being totally surprised and being unexpectedly honored in this manner. It's clearly a credit to this audience over here that there are so many interesting people who've been able to attend this event and be recognized by all the hard work that Muslim News have done. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Muslim News for this excellent event and the recognition it has given to several Muslims who have been a credit to the country in their own representation. Thank you very much.
Anne-Marie Schimmel, a brilliant academic and very influential German scholar, wrote extensively about Islam. She has published more than 50 books on Islamic culture, literature and mysticism. In 1989, she broke rank from her Western contemporaries and spoke out in protection of the Muslims that she felt had been undermined by the publication of the Satanic verses. Her remarkable scholarship and understanding of Islam has led to her receiving a plethora of doctorates and titles from across the world. Sadly, Anne-Marie passed away in 2003, but it's my pleasure to announce this award in her name. The Anne-Marie Schimmel Award goes to Vanessa Redgrave. Unfortunately, Vanessa Redgrave is busy rehearsing at the Albury Theatre this evening and isn't able to be with us, but Ahmed Versi caught up with her earlier and she had this message for us.
Congratulations for winning the Anne-Marie Schimmel Award for championing a Muslim cause, and I'd like to give you the...
Wow, that is amazing. Amazing. It's a beautiful design.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm very sorry I can't be with you on this evening. It would have been a great honour. I'm just about to dress rehearse for Hecuba, that ancient play by the Greek dramatist Euripides, at the Albury Theatre here in London. So you find me dressed as Hecuba. So you can see the concept already of the production of this play about the Trojan queen and all the Trojan women who were driven out of their city after it was destroyed. I feel very, very honoured. I think the fact that it's not just one Muslim cause, although every people that I've supported in their struggle for justice and for their rights, their human rights, it seems like so many have been people of Muslim faith, as of the faith of Islam. And I feel that's a black mark on our times. I work for all people's human rights because all people should have their human rights. But today, we see the Chechens, the Palestinians. There are so many peoples, and our governments don't understand, and it seems to me they don't even try to understand what is happening. And I feel very disturbed and angry that whole sections of the media are taking a very racist stance against people of Muslim faith or people they believe are Muslims. I can only say I'm immensely honoured. I think I do what I think it's my duty to do. I don't expect any awards for this work, and I do such a little bit of work, but I work as hard as I can, and I thank you very, very much. It's a great honour.
The next award is the Imams Hassan and Hussein Children's Award for Excellence. As children themselves, Imams Hassan and Hussein, the grandchildren of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, were exemplary human beings. In everything they did, they emulated the noble traits of their grandfather. And although their idyllic childhood was cut short, they went on to play an important and pivotal role in Islamic history and defending the faith. This award has been sponsored by Islamic Relief and will be presented by Harun Ata'Allah, the General Manager of Islamic Relief Worldwide.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is my pleasure to present this award for excellence to children. Imams al-Hassan al-Hussein, as we read in the books of Seerah, one thing they're very famous for is how that the Prophet ﷺ, when he went to pray and he went for sujood, or bowing, prostrating down on the ground, he delayed rising because they were climbing on his back. And he wanted them to have their fill of pleasure of climbing on his back before he disturbed them by rising again. I wish we all could show the same patience to children in our mosques and when we are teaching them. And it gives me great pleasure in mentioning the three young people who have been nominated. Henna Ahsan, Salman Hafiz and Muhammad Saleh are all an inspiration to us. You've all done very well. But the winner of the award has to be one, and the winner is Salman Hafiz.
Unfortunately, they've had to leave this evening. They were here a little earlier, but they've had to go. But can I invite Mikhail Versi to accept this award on their behalf?
Salman demonstrates excellence in his school and madrasa studies without compromising one over the other. Between the ages of 9 to 13, he memorized the Quran and at the same time secured a place at the prestigious Heckman White Grammar School. In 2002, Salman, who lives in Dewsbury, West Yorkshire, won the Al-Bir Foundation Holy Quran competition, and the following year, aged 13, achieved GCSE Latin A*. Now 15, Salman recently represented Britain in the 26th annual King Abdulaziz Holy Quran competition in Saudi Arabia. Salman's ambition is to study at Oxford University and learn Arabic in an Islamic country.
The next award is the Allama Iqbal Award for Creativity in Islamic Thought. Widely regarded as the spiritual father of modern-day Pakistan, Muhammad Iqbal was a poet whose work was unmatched, both in terms of its beauty and in the grandeur of its message. Through his work, he recognized that Islam was the way forward, holding firmly to the values of peace, honor, dignity, and freedom for all human beings. This award, ladies and gentlemen, will be presented by Dr. Zaki Badawi, Principal of the Muslim College.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم النبيين والمرسلين. Allama Iqbal was not only a poet. In fact, his significance is not in his artistic ability alone, but in his philosophy. For he was the one thinker who stated very clearly that Islam has certain fundamentals which are unchangeable, are continuous. Yet there are elements of change and development. So Islam has both continuity and the change and dynamism. And it is very important to honor him in this fashion and to see who is carrying on this great tradition of Islamic thought, Islamic action, Islamic sort of loyalty to principles, at the same time responding to changing situation. The winner this year is Ziauddin Sardar.
Unfortunately, Professor Zia Sardar is away filming for the BBC in Pakistan at the moment, but may I invite Dr. Husna Ahmed, Director of Operations of Faith Regan UK, to accept the award on his behalf.
A pioneering and contentious writer, broadcaster and cultural critic, Ziauddin Sardar is visiting professor of post-colonial studies at City University. He has published over 40 books, such as The A to Z of Postmodern Life and Introducing Islam, and has written numerous articles on various aspects of Islam and contemporary society. He's editor of Futures, a monthly policy journal, and co-editor of Third Text, the critical journal of visual art and culture. He lives in northwest London.
Our next award is the Al-Biruni Award for Excellence in Community Relations. Al-Biruni believed that Islam was a religion that was tolerant and respectful of other cultures, and he used this as a foundation to champion intercultural understanding, a concept I'm sure you'll agree is of particular importance in today's multicultural society. And this award in his name has been sponsored by the Commission for Racial Equality and will be presented by Trevor Phillips, Chairman of the CRE.
I know I've got to speak briefly, and my colleagues at the CRE these days say to me that I must speak briefly because it seems impossible for me to say anything for more than 2 minutes without plunging myself into some controversy and ending up on the front page of the Sun. So I'm going to be as brief as I can. First of all, to say congratulations to Ahmed Versi. I'm so proud to be here again. On your 16th year, people said you couldn't keep it going, but you did. So congratulations to Muslim News. Secondly, I want to say that community relations are at their most fragile for many years. And as we approach this general election, many communities in this country feel under siege. We know that this election can make those communities feel better, or they can make those communities feel worse. We, the politicians and the media, bear a major responsibility here. And we can make it worse by the way that we talk about some communities and some issues. Let me make it clear. It is not racist to talk about immigration, or about gypsies and travellers, or about human rights, or the position of Muslim communities. But the way we talk about these issues can help or it can hinder. We forget sometimes that Muslims and Sikhs and Gypsies and Jews are human beings too, that they care about education and health, and that their children too are easily frightened by the words they read in the newspaper, the words that are shouted at them in the street, and by the violence that lurks at the edges of some of our communities. This is a night when we should be celebrating, but I wouldn't be doing my duty here if I were not to say to all of the political leaders here tonight, you bear a heavy responsibility in the next 5 or 6 weeks. And I want to say, as Chair of the Commission, to all of you, do not let your party be the one that starts the descent into the politics of the gutter. Do not let your party be the one that triggers the name-calling. And do not let your party be the one that leads the way to a general election campaign where everybody speaks nobly on television but turns a blind eye to bigotry on the doorstep. I will say one thing which I would like to speak positively about tonight. One of the things that I've discovered at CRE recently is that different communities are beginning to talk to each other more. I'm especially proud of the way that Muslim leaders in different organizations, particularly our colleagues in the MCB, have begun to reach out to other communities, the black community, the Jewish community. I hope we will begin to make links across to the gypsies and travellers. I think we can all, those of us who are minority communities in this country, take pride in ourselves and each other. And I would hope that this gathering tonight will take a special pride. I just want to say this, because they are my brother and my sister, really, that Paul Boateng is going to South Africa to represent Britain. I think that's a matter for great pride, a minority ambassador in one of the most important countries in the world. And I hope that that will be followed very quickly by my sister Valerie Amos, though we like her being leader of the House of Lords, moving to become the boss of the United Nations Development Programme. That would be fantastic. And frankly, and here is where I think we can help each other. Paul's moving from Brent South, I hope, will make it possible for another minority MP to take over his place. I don't know who else is in there, but I hope that my good friend and one of the most brilliant young Muslim politicians, Razi Rahman, is in there with a shout, because he should be an MP. Anyway, having said that, the winner of the Al-Biruni Award, and this is the Stargazers Award, Al-Biruni, the astronomer, the winner of this award is Tanzim Wasti.
Tanzim Wasti, who lives in New Malden, Surrey, helped found the UK Islamic Mission in the early 1960s, which aimed to give Muslims in Britain an identity. He's a prominent member of UKIM and the Muslim Council of Britain, working to establish community programmes and represent the views of British Muslims. He organised a youth conference in 2003, attended by over 600 representatives from local government, in a bid to bridge a gap between Muslims and these establishments. As trustee of Muslim Aid and founding member of the Muslim Solidarity Council, Tanzim is involved in many Islamic causes.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Actually, I have no words, and I was not expecting. And the work, a small work for the community or for the sake of Muslims, and the larger community I have done is for this, to please Allah. Until and unless the Muslim community become the part of the main community in this country, there are a lot of problems, and that is the duty of the young generation to become part and parcel and take the message which Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam brought to the humanity as Rahmatul Lil Alameen, to serve the humanity, to serve the community, irrespective of this race, creed, or caste. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Thank you very much.
Our final award this evening is the Imam wa Ammal Special Award. Serving others and working for the common welfare are a natural extension of the true faith in God. This award recognises those who are serving the community without thought for any reward in this world. It's an award for those that are God conscious and those whose impetus is the belief in God alone. Presenting this award, I'm very pleased to invite Amina Ann Coxon, a consultant physician and member of the Muslim News Award for Excellence independent panel of judges.
For all of us, our faith has to determine our action. And in today's world, there is no field that is more important than human justice and the rule of law. Doreen Lawrence is a personal friend, as are a number of her family. The murder of her son Stephen was a stain on the national consciousness, inflicted by racist thugs with no apology. Doreen's Christian consciousness did not want vendettas. She wanted justice in law. And she chose, rightly, the award of our special award, Imran Khan.
Renowned for his efforts on behalf of the Stephen Lawrence family and his struggle against injustice, Imran has worked diligently to uphold the rights of Muslims implicated in terrorism cases. He is fighting to bring the Indian government to justice on behalf of Muslims killed in Gujarat riots, and is involved with the family of Zahid Mubarak, who was murdered by his racist cellmate. Imran Khan was named Lawyer of the Year in 1999.
That, I'm afraid, was a real shock to me. I was about to enjoy my dinner. It really did come as a surprise. I know that when people come to award ceremonies, they say, have some idea. On this occasion, as lawyer, I'm lost for words. It's a real honour to receive this award. It is not often that lawyers get good press, and less often that they win awards such as these, such prestigious awards. And I'm really humbled to be in the company of so many great individuals today. The pride that I feel in winning this award is tarnished, I'm afraid, with a bit of sadness, because the recognition that I'm getting today comes about because I've been involved in cases in which particularly young people have not been able to fulfill their future, their ambitions, because they've been killed. They've been killed and their families have been through an injustice. The recognition I get today is on the back of families who have suffered daily. And that sadness, I'm afraid, we have to talk about today, because unfortunately, this month, there are two particular anniversaries that we ought to remember. So while we enjoy everything today, we ought to think back to 3 years ago now in March, when 2,000 Muslims were killed in Gujarat, slaughtered, pregnant women raped, 100,000 displaced. And the architect of that mass slaughter, I regret to say, is coming to this country, has been permitted to come to this country and arrives on Saturday. The Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi. Let this be a warning to him that if he does set foot in this country, we will be going to the local magistrates' court to obtain a warrant for his arrest for the mass slaughter of Muslims in Gujarat. The second, and yet again another tragedy, is 5 years ago. A young man placed into the custody of our prison in Feltham was killed by his racist cellmate. Zahid Mubarak, 6 hours before he was due to be released, was bludgeoned to death by a prison which should have looked after him and now allowed him to go back. The inquiry into that particular tragedy is almost coming to an end. Last Friday we finally heard the final bits of evidence. That family has suffered those last 5 years, and hopefully, inshallah, at the end of this year, they will get some sort of closure. None of us who are here today should count ourselves as belonging to any faith, any community, as part of the human race, unless we're prepared to do something about the injustices that we see. It's been a privilege for me to be involved in cases like the Stephen Lawrence case. I'm absolutely shocked, humbled that Doreen would nominate me for this award. I'm absolutely humbled and shocked that I should receive this award tonight. As far as I'm concerned, for the last however many years, I've just been doing my job. I don't want to receive this award for me or my colleagues at work or those who are with me tonight. I want to receive this award on behalf of all of those who've died at the hands of injustice, Muslim and non-Muslim throughout the country, the Palestinians, the Iraqis, the Chechens. I've been able to represent Palestinians in Gaza, Iraqis in Basra, Muslims in Bradford and Burnley, those who are now fighting against the label of terrorism in Belmarsh and Wood Hill. On behalf of all those individuals, I accept this award, and in particular, I accept this award on behalf of all those Muslims who died in Gujarat and for Zahid Mubarak, who died in Feltham. Thank you all so very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, all good things must come to an end, and so the Muslim News Awards 2005 draws to a close. Without the hard work, dedication and commitment of so many people, not only today but throughout the course of the last year, this event would not have been possible. And on behalf of the Muslim News, I'd like to thank the organising team, Ehsan Masood, Shaheen Mohammed, Sarah Sharif, Elham Asad Buaras, Murtaza Versi, Faisal Dawji, Roman Ahmed, Tabassum Jafri, Atla Abbas, Samir Rahman and Erica Timony. I'd also like to thank the experienced event management team that we had help us this year, Leila Manji, Afzal Pradhan and Asifa Pradhan. Designing the sleek brochure for the 4th year running, my thanks go to Zafar Malik. For her impeccable and professional voiceover work, Zainab Versi. To our Indonesian friends who have travelled so far to be with us this evening, Kurniawati and Yulia Stuti, for their beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran, Muhammad Ainun Najib and KIAI KANJENG, his band, for what I'm sure you will agree was an entertaining and uplifting piece of music. In addition, my thanks to the Indonesian Embassy for their invaluable help and assistance. Also, thanks go to Konta TV, headed by Almani Konta. Last year, they turned around the filming of this event into broadcastable coverage within an hour of Sir John Stevens' speech. I'd also like to thank the hotel management at the Intercontinental for their persistently helpful staff and for the volunteers who have been operating the PowerPoint to enable you to enjoy the proceedings all around the hall this evening. To the sponsors, those of you who put your money and name to these awards, your financial assistance is imperative. A small budget newspaper like the Muslim News relies on your support to make ceremonies like these a possibility. To those of you who took the time to nominate individuals for awards, you bring to our attention the quality and talent that often lies hidden and unrecognised within our communities. Thank you for nominating this year. Please make sure you nominate again next year. To the judging panel, who had the unenviable task of choosing between so many high-calibre candidates, the care with which you have evaluated, debated and judged the winners ensures that these awards remain a prestigious award. And to all the volunteers who have helped in one capacity or another, behind the scenes many of you and over the course of the year, young and old alike, there are too many of you to name individually, but thank you all for your efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, recognising excellence is the first step in ensuring its perpetuation. And if you, like me, have been inspired by the talent, dedication and achievement of nominees and winners alike this evening, then start thinking about who you'd like to see nominated next year for a Muslim News Award for Excellence. Who do you know that deserves one of these prestigious awards? Remember also, ladies and gentlemen, we have an exciting new category next year, an award for excellence amongst the youth. We're also inviting suggestions for the name of that award, so get your thinking caps on, and if you have any ideas, please get in touch with the Muslim News. Photographs and DVDs will be available of tonight's ceremony. Keep your eye on the Muslim News website if you'd like to order copies. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here this evening and sharing in what I'm sure you'll agree has been an inspiring, uplifting and enjoyable evening. We end, as ever, with a passage from the Holy Quran. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. By the passage of time, mankind truly is in a state of loss, except for him who believes and does good works, and enjoins others to truth, and enjoins others to steadfastness. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Fatin Gurji. Thank you very much for your attention this evening. I shan't ask you to keep quiet any longer. In fact, I'll encourage you now to meet, mingle and make merry with all of our guests. Bon appetit, ladies and gentlemen.